Fraser Doherty says when he was 8 years old, a farmer used to live across from my house. He had a chicken farm. Somehow, I was drawn to the idea of poultry farming. I thought this business had less effort. Just feed the chickens and later sell their eggs in the market. With this in mind, I went to the poultry farmer. I requested that he lend me some eggs. Looking at me, he handed me a box full of eggs for free. So I brought the eggs to my parents, telling them about my new business idea to hatch eggs into chickens. And when they grow and start laying eggs, I would sell them. My parents agreed to my idea, thinking of me as a kid and how many days this would last. I kept the box of eggs on the top of the television. Those days, the television used to be huge boxes, generating a lot of heat. Surprisingly, after a few days, 4 eggs hatched into chickens. We made a small house for them in our garden and named them soon. They started laying eggs, and I started to sell the eggs to my neighbors. One fine day after returning from school, I learned that a fox had eaten all my hens. I was sad, as this was my first business since childhood, which I started with zero investment. Even after this, I started many businesses, and later I established a full-fledged company, which, until today, is still working and has made me a millionaire. During the school vacations, I visited my grandmother's village. I saw my grandmother making jam. She used to make very tasty jam. As always, out of excitement, I asked her to teach me her recipe. On that day, we spent hours making jam and filling it into jars to cool down. After coming home, I ran to the supermarket to grab fruits and started making jam on my own. Before it could cool down, I took the jam to my neighbors and asked for a taste test review. My neighbors really liked it and were ready to pay for it in return. After that, I kept on making and selling jam in the neighborhood. A local newspaper covered my story, how a 15-year-old started a business by making jam. There was a point in my life when I used to spend all day making jam in my kitchen. Each week I used to sell almost 1,000 jars. But this caused a little inconvenience to my family. Even making food in the kitchen was a task. That was the time, and I decided I had to make it big now, probably in a jam factory. So I started researching jam. But I noticed a drop in the jam sales year over year. The reason for this was the sugar level in the jams, and at the same time, people wanted something new. So I started experimenting with recipes. I finally found a perfect recipe to make jam tasty and healthy without sugar or any preservatives. That means 100% fruit only. This time, I thought to make it big and sell it in supermarkets. As they have a lot of stores, it would benefit me in my business to grow. I went to a supermarket named Waitrose. They give opportunities to new entrepreneurs like me to showcase their products. They were shocked, knowing a teenager was making and selling jam. They were impressed with my 100% fruit jam. But to bring it to stores, I needed proper packaging, a brand with lower pricing, and little changes in the recipe. Only then would they sell my jam in their supermarket. Hearing that, I was happy and excited. And that day, making my jam a successful product became my dream. I met a lot of designers and marketing people. Soon we named the jam Super Jam and made a lot of packages, as Super Jam sounded like superhuman. We told a lot of stores to promote our brand and reach out to people. Later, I started visiting jam factories, asking if they would make jam for me, to produce jam on a larger scale. Most of the factory owners denied this, saying they couldn't trust my product. Some thought I was too young to do business with no experience or knowledge. Luckily, one of the factory owner was ready to give my product a chance, as his jam sales weren't going great and some of his machines were free, so we could try my jam recipe. I took my product to the supermarket, Waitrose. Suddenly, they denied everything. They said the factory where I'm producing my jam was too expensive, which would result in a low profit. They didn't like the branding, nor did they like the taste of my jam. I had already wasted a year on this. This broke me. I was sad for a couple of days, but then I thought of giving it another chance. So I again met some experts who thought I should understand the importance of packaging, how proper packaging would make a product's perceived value big. They gave me an example where just changing the packaging increased their sales. Then I learned about branding. Most people think of showcasing multiple good reasons for the buyer. But it's better to give only one good reason and keep focusing on that one. It should be the highlight of the product. And I got to know my jam's best reason for being 100% fruit only. That's it. Nothing else was needed or added. I again found a new factory owner, and this time I tried a new product. Again, I went to the supermarket. I showed them my new product and explained to them about its cost and margin. This time they liked my product. On the first day itself, We made 50,000 jars in the factory. Finally, it was my day to celebrate. Many newspapers wrote about me, how a teenager became a millionaire. Prince Charles invited me and my grandmother to Buckingham Palace. They also kept the Super Jam in the National Museum of Scotland. After this, I started a few more businesses. Coffee in an envelope business, a beer subscription business, and also the oats business. Many of my ideas failed, but I learned a lot from my failures. I would like to share it with you. The first lesson Fraser says that is entrepreneurship. Fraser says wannabe entrepreneurs are those who study a lot about business. They read books, attend conferences, and do a lot of research. They even keep track of each week's successful business. But they don't get anything from it. All they think is, what if they try and it fails? Fraser calls these kind entrepreneurship air. Fraser says never to be scared of executing any ideas. Investing little, you should give your ideas a chance. Even if 9 out of 10 ideas fail, those 9 would teach you more than an MBA degree in college. And the 10th idea that succeeds will cover the cost of the other 9 you failed at. The second lesson Fraser talks about is to tell everyone about your ideas. Most people don't share their ideas with anyone, thinking they are unique and someone would copy them. When only a very few come up with unique ideas, 99% success never comes with ideas but with their execution. If we share our ideas with people, it only benefits us in finding the missing bits and loopholes in our ideas with their views. The third lesson says to be optimistic and pessimistic. Fraser says that whatever ideas we come up with should be validated both ways. What if it works? And what if it doesn't work? This method makes us think more creatively. The fourth lesson says, be willing to try. Start small to validate ideas, and grow only after the response. Fraser says try things always on a smaller scale, with low investment at the beginning. This would only help us understand what we think is good. Does the market think in the same way? Low investment would tell you the market's mood, and slowly expand it over time. Never be scared of testing your ideas. The fifth lesson says to use the internet. Fraser says since it's the age of the internet, doing business is very easy. Earlier, finding a team member would take months. Now it just takes 2 days. Fraser has executed an idea in just 48 hours and converted it into a business. That was the oat business. All this was done just by opening one simple Shopify website. The sixth lesson says to add stories to explain ideas. Fraser says until today I explained Super Jam through stories. This method is beneficial for branding, which connects our customers with us on an emotional level. We learned how a middle-class teenager became a millionaire without investing much. Fraser learned many lessons on his journey.